Okay, live it says. Let's see if it's true. Does anyone see me? Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. And we're going to have an interesting topic tonight. And kind of related to YouTube, but actually, it's kind of related to a lot of questions I've been getting lately. And it has to do with trackers. I don't know how many people left me messages relating to trackers. So there seems to be a lot of confusion about that. And so we'll talk about that. And somehow it's connected to the topic at hand here, which is how I use YouTube. So thank you guys. Hello, Intermeyer, Fleet, Lord Atvar, Great Gold, James Mason, Seek Value, W.J. Bayers, Old Man, Eddie, who did I miss? Storm Brothers, Norma Nonoff, Hyrillian Gamer, Ludwig, Hey You was first. Nemo, Lady Cosmic Rose. Hey, hello guys. Anyway, the topic is very interesting because a lot of you actually hide from YouTube and you. Hello Galvano, you're awake. Galvano's awake. Angelo, Laurent Lou. A lot of you are like avoiding YouTube and you're watching right now. Well, you can't on Odyssey because the live streams don't go to Odyssey. But if you're watching on some other platform like Nvidia's and if NewPipe is working, somebody told me that NewPipe was not working. But if NewPipe were working, it'd be watching me on NewPipe and all these different platforms. And the reason, of course, you're all on these alternative platforms and basically hiding the true numbers of how many people actually follow me is because you're afraid that somebody's going to track you. So I understand that, and it's a legit concern. And I don't like tell you got to be in YouTube and gotta hit the like and all this. Because I understand everyone has a different threat level, and you decide for yourself, what you want to do. But what I'm going to tell you today is that I am on YouTube, obviously, because I'm a YouTube creator, and I use YouTube all the time, and I look for signs that say that my YouTube experience is being spied on in some way, and the way I'm using it, I'm not getting that. So I'm going to share with you what I do. And then hopefully from that, you can kind of guess if it might work for you. And I'm not going to go force you to go to YouTube or log in. A lot of you also watch without logging in. And I'm not going to force you to do any of that, but I'll tell you my story and how it works for me. And hopefully you can learn from that and apply it to your situation. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, my friends. Do you offer any courses in security? I wish I have time for that. I mean, if that were my business, but I really don't. I got to focus on the videos. Videos are very hard to make as it is. Hello, official Eureka. It's like so hard. 9 volt. So hard to figure out how you say lyrical. It's lyrical. Oh, okay. See, it's so small I can't read it. Official lyrical 2A. I use NewPipe and library. Come here to certain ones. Okay, so I'm using YouTube directly the way a creator has to, which is logged in to the browser and then logged into the session on YouTube. So everything I do on Google is being tracked. And I'm going to tell you how I handle this. And it seems to, YouTube Vans is another option some people use to not be on YouTube. But I seem to have no indication that YouTube is going above and beyond, as far as spying me. So that's actually a good sign. In a way, I hate to say good things about Google, but in a way, Google is not the same kind of evil I see on Facebook. Facebook is really evil. I mean, they don't hide the fact that they're there to dig out everything about you at all moments, and they don't give you a break. There's no time where they say, okay, if you don't want to do this, we'll give you a break. They don't do that. So Google actually does it. So one of the things I'm going to teach you first, and one of the first things I do, and I hope you've all done this, because if not, then you ought to do it. You go to Google Activity Controls. So if you're not on Google, if you have not been to Google Activity Controls, you got a serious problem here. Okay, so that's kind of basic. I'm going to tell you that first, because that's the assumption here is Google Activity Controls. So what is that? So you log into Google. So you go in with your Gmail account or whatever. You're logged into Google. When you're logged into Google, you go into your search engine, which hopefully is not Google, and you type Google Activity Controls. So I type that, and I go into the Google Activity Controls screen, and it allows me to set by category what I want Google to track or not to track as I go through the Google experience. In my case, every single item is set to what is called paused. So everything is paused, location tracking, and so on. And specifically, I go to YouTube and say to YouTube, no history. So my history is turned off in Google Activity Control. So I'm going to ask you right now, who among you does not have Google Activity Controls set where YouTube is not tracking? Is there anyone that doesn't do that? So, I figure everyone knows this, but I guess maybe some don't. So it's very simple. I go into Google Activity Controls and tell YouTube not to track my YouTube views. So in theory, then, if I go to a gun video, let's say I were into guns and I go into gun videos, I shouldn't see any recommendations of gun videos. Okay, thank you on Antel Rivera. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Those of you who contribute to the channel, like Antel, is that Antel or Aniel? Sorry, Aniel Rivera. So those of you who contribute to the channel, thank you so much. This is the only thing that supports this channel is your contribution. So I appreciate it very much. So when you set the Google Activity Controls to pause, then I don't expect that YouTube is going to feed me anything as far as what I watched from before, and that's actually been correct. I actually don't. So I think it's partly because of GDPR. GDPR from the EU requires them not to fool around with this because they get into a lawsuit. So seems to be so far they've kept to that, and which actually surprises me that Google will actually do something good. In this case, they actually do in fact pause. So I don't actually see any YouTube recommendations that I don't expect. So I'm not getting. I don't watch any political videos, for example. So I don't expect to be fed any political videos. If I'm watching, like I said, it's an example, a gun video, I don't expect to be getting a gun video back. Now I do watch sailing videos. So even then I don't get that unless I specifically do one thing. And this is the thing that actually tracks me, and I am okay with this. I actually subscribe to the channel. So I subscribe to many Linux channels. So many of the Linux channels that you're familiar with, I subscribe to them, and that's okay. I want to see what they show, and DistroTube, Chris Titus Tech, TLG, Switch to Linux, Daddy Linux. I mean, I make sure that they're friends, and I make sure that to support them by following their channel, and I purposely go follow them. So I expect to see that in my home or recommendations in my subscriptions, and I see that together with what I expect to see as sailing videos, and I do see that. But because I subscribe to it, I actually don't see anything offered that's not in the range of what I subscribe to. So I don't expect to see uh, a push in one direction on certain issues or certain topics that even on trending, I don't want to see a pattern. What I see should be what everyone sees. I shouldn't see any kind of bias in any certain mix of channels that I'm supposed to see. And that so far has been true. Hello, no enough, your business. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you so much. So that so far has been good. It's they've been consistent with that. So Google activity controls, and you can switch off location. You can switch off Google search tracking. Now I never use Google search, so whether or not they allow it, allow pausing, I do not use Google search. I use DuckDuckGo. So hello AJ, hello Yiki May. Jamie Dale, Furnace Angel, WJ Bayers, Hodl on, my goodness, Hodl on is this, BG. So, Google Activity Controls is the first line of defense, so do that. Now, let me tell you about trackers in general, okay, and then we'll go into some of the other techniques, but I just want to make sure I set the stage that the first thing I do is say, I'm going to use the max of permissions that I give to Google in Google Activity Controls. That's kind of a baseline. It doesn't mean I trust them, but it's a baseline. And then I'm going to do it from there. And I'm going to tell you that before I did anything else, I did a test to see what happened. Because I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And I actually tested to make sure that my traffic doesn't get recommendations that I don't expect if I don't subscribe to anyone. So last year I wasn't subscribed to anyone, so I shouldn't be seeing anything. And true enough, I did not. If they were tracking it, they weren't telling me, so they weren't like using the tracking in some way to influence me because I didn't see it. First thing I'm going to talk about is this idea of trackers. A lot of people download apps that track trackers. One of them being Brave. So if you run Brave, you see all this report on Brave itself that says how many trackers were found and how much time it saved you. And that's right on top of the Brave screen. If you run Privacy Badger, which is a default on some browsers, isn't it a default in Firefox now? And if you download that, it will automatically then give you also a report of trackers and all that. If you run a mobile app, some of you have been using some of these apps that supposedly track trackers. And then you go panic when you see a tracker. Say, oh my gosh, there's trackers on this app. Braxme has trackers. All these things have trackers, and you're all panicking. And stop. Relax. Stop. Okay. The truth, guys, there are trackers everywhere. I've said this in many videos. The way these apps track trackers is via cookies. So, Privacy Badger, Brave, Exodus, and all these different apps. The way they track trackers to check for cookies. Then they see if a cookie is used in multiple instances in different domains, and that's how they track a tracker. Okay? The problem, guys, is that is not accurate. That is not accurate. Let me repeat it again. It is not accurate. Okay? Why is it not accurate? Because many trackers do not use cookies. I've said this in a video, which nobody watched. Not every tracker needs to use a cookie. Cookies are the old way. There's many, many ways to track you, including now ultrasound. Okay, MAC addresses. There's many, many other ways to track you. So they don't necessarily track by cookies. So all of these tools say there's a tracker in this app, but this app does not have trackers. So you say, oh, it must be safe because it doesn't have trackers. Wrong. Okay? Everything has trackers. Everything. So you have to start from the assumption that everything could be tracking you. So now we got to understand, if everyone is tracking you, then how do we evade this? Forget about going to apps like Exodus and all this and trying to go stop trackers, because you're only getting the ones that use cookies, because many trackers will not use cookies, and certainly cross-device tracking, UXDT and all kinds of XDTs will not use any kind of visible tracking, so there's not going to be a record of it that an app can track. So, and you might get a false sense of security that you're not being tracked, but you are being tracked. So that the thing that you need to do now is think and say, what are they collecting? Because it doesn't matter if you're being tracked. If whatever they're tracking, it means nothing, then they're tracking nothing. I've said this before and I will repeat it. Okay, when you're being tracked, the thing that you have to worry about is what website you were on. That's the number one thing they're tracking, and what you were doing on that website. So the activity. But but that needs an identity. So it needs some sort of index that can match whatever you do on the internet to that activity. And the indexes are IP address, email address, device fingerprint, browser fingerprint. Those are, typical things that will be found. If they find a match to one of those, then whatever you're doing will be matched to an index, will be stored, and then it will say Joseph Lopez is the identity, and these are the things he's been doing based on what they've discovered by something that coincides, like IP address, email address, browser fingerprint, and so on. Now, all you have to do is not give them the data of IP address and browser fingerprint and so on. And what happens is the data is left hanging, and they can track you all day, but they cannot identify who it belongs to. So then the data is useless. You should see these videos of these data scientists studying this and analyzing how so much of a percentage of the population, they can't extract data because, like I said, there's no match. And I'm one of those. They can't find me. They don't have a match of what I do because I take certain precautions, and it's not much. It's not really much. I just know that I look at the back end. Don't worry about what they're collecting at the front end. Worry about what they have, and if they can make sense out of it. Because if they can't make sense out of the data is useless. And thank you, none of your business again. None of your business. That's what it is. None of your business. Yes, that's now I've. Can you de-Google a Tab S4? I've never tried. I've never tried. I think an S4 can be de-Googled, but I've never tried it. Anyway, my VPN doesn't have any sucking backdoors. So, what have I done in my case? Well, I'm going to tell you it's very, very simple. So I went to Google Activity Controls and wiped out all of the Google activity to pause. And then this is very important. In order for browser fingerprinting to work, browser fingerprinting needs your identity, which is your Google ID. And then it needs to see all the other websites you're going into. Well, in my case, I have isolated Google to Brave. So Google is running on Brave by itself. Anything Google, I do on Brave. Nothing else. I don't do anything else on that browser. Nothing else. I have a dedicated Brave browser. Now, what is good about Brave, I was using Chrome before, and I shifted to Brave. The only reason that Brave was kind of interesting was because it was actually doing tracking of the trackers. It was giving me a report of how many trackers it found while I was using Google. So I shift back and forth now, but let's say I went to Brave. Let's just talk about my Brave experience here because this is what's relevant. So I'm using Brave with Google. I don't do anything else. I don't go to any website. I am logged in to YouTube. So YouTube knows what I'm doing, who I am, because I'm logged into YouTube with my normal YouTube account and with my subscriptions and all that. So everything is obvious to them. But I don't do anything else but Google. They already know what I do. So I don't do. By the way, I don't go to Gmail on that. That's done on a email client. So my Brave browser doesn't really have anything to do with email. It's basically just logging in with my Google account, and that's it. It's going to do Google things. Without email, I don't have. Well, I use my email account obviously to log in, but I have a specific email for YouTube, and basically it's my YouTube zone is Brave. I don't do anything else on there. Now, what happens here? You see, browser fingerprinting or tracking requires that you go to all these websites, and then because you're logged into Google, they will do a match and say, "Oh, we see you on Google. This is your real name." And so you're Rob Braxman Tech on YouTube, and you're on all these different websites. And because of Google Analytics, we can make the connection that you've been all these websites. But I use a completely different browser. So when I'm going to Amazon, I am not on Brave or Chrome, whatever I'm using. I'm on Firefox. So when I go to Amazon, I'm on Firefox. So Google, with my identity on there, doesn't see what I'm doing on Firefox. So I do, Braxme, I do Amazon, I do all of that on Firefox. Usually I'm running like 4 browsers, but typically, 2 is enough, one for Google and the rest for everything else. And what happens is it shuts down these trackers, because in order for the trackers to work, they have to look for an identity. And I have a VPN running. Next point. I always have a VPN running. So the IP address doesn't make any sense, because obviously many of you are on my VPN. So we're all on the same IP addresses. So they can't draw a connection between what I do on either Google or on Firefox, because I have different IP addresses and so on. All VPN, none of my own, and no activity that can be connected because I'm using a different browser. So this is called browser isolation. So now it can't draw any conclusions from what I'm doing on Amazon. It can't say, "Oh, you just looked at this product." For example, today I was curious. I said, I saw a video of somebody using a scooter, and I said, "Oh, let me look at Amazon and see what these scooters are about." So I look and see what the price of a scooter is, and so I check that. And normally, for normal people, that will incite some advertising to show up on YouTube and every place else that's trying to sell you scooters and all these different things. So it doesn't happen with me. I don't get that. And again, because there's no identity connected to it, what I do on Firefox doesn't show up on the other side. Now here's more. Now I've been running Brave with YouTube here and anything Google, and I noticed that Brave has not found a single tracker. Now I thought that was kind of interesting. Brave has not found a single tracker, not one. So I thought that when you use Google, you're supposed to get a lot of trackers. I don't know what's happening here, but I'm not getting any. And one of the things that I also do, in case you didn't know, is my VPN is Bytes VPN. It's my VPN is Bytes VPN. Bytes VPN uses Pi-hole. So I'm always on Pi-hole, which blocks the tracker domains. All of the domains having to do with trackers don't get executed, because it's not allowed by Pi-hole. So when you use my VPN, you're automatically protected. And I was actually surprised that after using all this, again, with all these simple things, it's very, very basic. I disable or pause Google activity controls. I left Google in its own browser, which is Brave or Chrome, one of those two. Then I use a VPN with Pi-hole to block the domains of the trackers, and I isolated all my other activity elsewhere. And surprisingly, I get nothing. So sometimes it's kind of sad, you want Google to YouTube to feed you something interesting that may be related to what you do. And I don't get anything. So to me, to have to find something on YouTube, I actually have to actively search it. Google Analytics can analyze all they want, but they're only going to analyze what I do in Google, which they already know. They already know what I do in Google since I am on YouTube. So whatever I do in Google, they already know. They don't need Google Analytics for that. So they have very little information. So by doing this, I've found a way to tell you that yes, it's very easy to blunt the AI, because this is really about the AI. If you watch some of these videos, of people doing data mining, data science, and this is one of the problems they're trying to solve. And I'm trying to beat them because I understand what they're trying to do, and all I have to do is beat them, and then it works. So can this be beat? Well, couple ways. They could be lying to me and they're not paused. Even when I say pause on activity controls, they're not really pausing. They could be storing it, but they're just not reporting it to me. But I have such an insurance policy here. I've divided the activity into such an isolated thing that they really can't collect anything out of me. And I do not use Google search. I use DuckDuckGo. Even on the Chrome or Brave Windows, I use DuckDuckGo. I do not do Gmail or any of that on a webmail. I use Thunderbird on a different computer, it's running its own separate exe. So they're isolated. So I don't really have any connection, and I'm on a VPN with Pi-hole, so the IP address and the DNS is restricted, and this seems to work. It's not really all that complicated. So what I'm trying to tell you is you do not have to go crazy about this. All you have to do is do a few little tricks. And what happens is the AI fails. The AI can't handle this kind of complexity. Now they're going to get beyond this. Hello, the Tao. Thank you. What is your opinion of the light phone? Actually, I don't know what a light phone is. What is a light phone? I've never actually heard of a light phone. Maybe you should pass a link. So that's really the crux of it. It's simple. And let's say that you have other identities and you want to use YouTube fully. Set up a new Gmail. Just set up an account just for Gmail, where you can subscribe and do all that and comment, and make sure it's not your real name, and just set it aside just for this purpose and nothing else. Which is what I do. So you set up an account that's just set for that purpose and nothing else. You can have as many Gmail accounts as you want, but just set up one for this purpose, pause activity controls, and it's not really all that complicated. All we have to do here is beat the AI. Beat the AI. It's not that complicated, guys. The AI is not that smart so far. Now, if you watch my new video, you know that this is slowly changing here, because with my new video, they can do what is called cross-device tracking, which uses what is called out-of-band data. Data that's not part of your experience here, but which is on the side. It could be from ultrasound in the background, MAC addresses being tracked, contact tracing. All of this can actually connect devices. And that's the stuff that was in my latest video. That's the fear. They're going to take this to a new level. But we're not there yet, because at the moment there's many ways to block some of this with permissions. And it's not at the level yet where we have to panic. They don't have enough data yet on this. But I fear that, if we allow it, there will be. So be careful. It's not there yet. Don't panic. My last video is not intended to give you fear. It's intended to make you aware, so that maybe we can stop it in its tracks. At the moment, we're okay. We're okay. So anyway, guys, thank you for that, for coming here and listening. And I want to just again remind you that this live stream is sponsored by Linode. Now, I run many of my servers on Linode, so Linode has been my preferred data center, and I'm like saving a lot of money from Linode. So one of the things I notice about Linode is that if I'm going to use a word that describes them, it's fairness. When I go to like Amazon or some of these other providers, some of them charge you for incoming data and outgoing data. I mean, they want to charge you every way they can. So they fake you and they say, we're going to give you 1 terabyte. What they're really saying is, we're going to count inflow and outflow. So you're only getting 500 megabytes, gigabytes, not a terabyte. So they lie. And Linode is just been fair. And not only that, when you exceed your capacity on one server, they take all of your servers and add them all up and say, oh, you're running 5 servers, so we're going to track the capacity based on your 5 servers, not the 1 server. So this kind of fairness is something that I've really appreciated. So if you go and want to set up a server like a Nextcloud or a Jitsi server, you can, or even, a backup server, or a mail server. Linode is, you can set up a server for as cheap as $5 a month. And if you use the link linode.com/RobBraxman, you will get $100 credit for 2 months. So just to make you aware of that. Now, one other thing that I was asked to do, but did not happen, is I was supposed to post a QR code for the people at incognito.org, because they have a little challenge here, privacy challenge, a little game, and everyone's supposed to go on the internet and track QR codes, and they didn't give me the QR code, so I guess I can't do anything. But they're running some sort of privacy game on incognito.org. Okay, so I don't have a QR code, but I was supposed to. What do I need a server for? I've done so many videos where you can have your own server. The reason for your own server is obviously supreme privacy, because if you're running your own Jitsi server, it is more secure than anything else. If you're running your own XMPP server, no one can beat that with security. That's even more secure than Signal. If you're running your own Nextcloud server, your phones are going to be much more secure, and none of this need to cost more than, for personal use, $5 a month. So these are all things that you can do with a server. So, okay, so let's see. Chinese students spied for their government most of the time, and Chinese consulates verified if students fulfilled their duties. Okay? I wouldn't doubt that. Actually, I know a lot of, Chinese students. Should I ask them? Some of these young kids. I don't know what, is it like college level, or what level do they do this? QR codes risky. Can we use different internet providers for different devices and websites as a way of isolation? That's not a avenue that I would expect for a standard threat level of a normal person. So for normal people, no. If you're Snowden, then that might be more interesting. Does a VPN work to hide you from Google? Yes. It doesn't hide you from Google. It makes your data look meaningless. I have virus all my phone cleaning update. Reset your phone and start fresh. MGTOW is using multiple private pages on the same web browser for different uses still work as browser isolation? No. Using multiple private pages on the same web browser? No. Don't do that. Nothing is more. I've done. You have to test there. You can go to my app. My test site brax.me/geo, which is discussed in many of my videos. And no, the absolute test is to isolate the browser. It's just 100% more effective. Thank you, not telling. How do I make a YouTube channel and monetize without doxing myself? Obviously, do not use your real name. Some of you can't do what I do. You see, my face is not on the internet in any other context but my broadcasts. So before I started doing live streams and broadcasting, my face was not on the internet. Can any of you boast doing that? That's actually kind of rare. And because of that, I don't really have any fear about being on YouTube, because you're not going to find any my face in a different context because I'm not on the internet. I mean, can you imagine that, being able to do that? That's nowadays, that's very rare. It requires a lot of discipline, and it makes sure that when I go to any app, I never use the same identity. When I go to a different app, I have a different identity, unless it's connected to this channel. Okay, so you may not be able to do that. Maybe too late. In which case, then you're putting yourself at risk by going on YouTube with an identity with your real name and not really planning that out. I have planned it out. So some of you made a comment, oh, you're supposed to be scared about facial recognition and all this, and you're on YouTube, and but there's no connection. If you go search me and reverse image search on Google, nothing is going to come up. Some of you are not too smart because you've actually put your photos on Google Photos. So now Google has the ability to do reverse image search because they scan the photos in Google Photos. Please do not do Google Photos. Please. Okay? Just some of the tricks. I don't use Google Search. I don't use Google Photos. I don't use Google Drive. I don't use any of that. When I use Gmail, it's for specific purposes that have no identity. I do all my serious email on my own email server, or a paid email server, which is not being collected because it's free. Any free service is collecting your data, so go to something that's paid. Okay. And by the way, I don't like using iCloud either. So, if I use iCloud, it would be temporary because it's just transferring from one phone to the other. And then I download everything from iCloud and then I delete it from iCloud. Cloud storage for free is I will learn your face. If somebody else posts my pic on their Facebook, am I at risk? Yes, that's why you don't want Facebook. Yes, and my family is always upset with me because when it comes to family photos, I have a policy, and they know this, that I do not show my face on their photos unless they promise me that they will not post it on Facebook. Okay, where to back up files in the cloud? You can, Mike L., I'm actually considering making a small app that does that. I want to encrypt and then store it in the cloud. End-to-end encrypted, where only you have the encryption. So I'm thinking about doing that. Maybe next month. Thunderbird is excellent. That's the only one I recommend for email. Email's not safe, but if I'm going to use email, I'm going to use Thunderbird. LOL, I see you. I deleted FB several years ago. OwnCloud does that already. OwnCloud is not free. Zuckbook has shadow profiles of everyone, even if you don't have FB. If it has to get connected, so without a connection, they can't really do anything about it because of their terms of service. So if you don't have a Facebook account, legally, Facebook is not supposed to do anything with your data. It's terms of service. Why do you keep asking me that? 4-5 STEF, older than you probably. That's all you need to worry about. Can't use Thunderbird because Thunderbird can run on Mac, can run on Windows, can run on Linux. Thunderbird runs everywhere. Nice, could be good. Might need HIPAA though. There's no need to worry about HIPAA, Mike L. There is no need to worry about HIPAA when you're encrypting it end to end. So this is actually very simple to do, but I just wanted to make a nice interface for it. But you can easily do this. There's some GitHub programs I can even just start with, so I don't have to start from scratch. It's actually quite easy. But I was just trying to figure out a way to to do it with a database. What I'm thinking is I run the database and then I just rent the service because somebody has to maintain a database of your files. I don't have any thoughts on Discord that's positive. If any of us finds you in real life, how much money would you pay us? I'd ask you to pay me because I'll take a photo of you and say, oh, now I know who you are. What version of Linux do you recommend for coding? I don't really care. I'm not one of those that worry about that because most of my coding is done on Linux servers. I'm like a lot of these guys, like so a lot of the Linux guys, Lunduke, TLG, DistroTube, all these guys, they're all working off desktop clients. That's really not my expertise. My expertise is servers. So I run a lot of Linux servers. I have a lot of Linux servers, and hopefully I'll move a lot of them on Linode, but I have a lot of them. A lot of them. And it's kind of hard to manage because there's so many, and there's all so many different providers. So did you get your Librem 5? Hell no. Radio for station creation. What the radio for station creation? What about radio? I was on the radio before, by the way. I was a frequent guest on what is it? KB. Somebody can remind me. Is it KBZ? This is Boston AM radio, the largest AM radio in the country. So I was a frequent guest on that before they got bought by iHeart. It used to be CBS. So when it was CBS, I was always on it. And that was some years back now. And I haven't been on it. WBZ, there you go. I haven't been on WBZ since it was purchased by iHeart. You should be able to use it like... when was WPA3 hacked? Right after it was released. So it was kind of... It's kind of frustrating, You're expecting WPA3 to solve our problem with Wi-Fi, and then it gets hacked. So WPA3 would have made our Wi-Fi safe. At the moment, there is no safe Wi-Fi. All Wi-Fis can be hacked. All Wi-Fis can be hacked. Until WPA3 is cleaned up, and we have supposedly it was cleaned up, but nobody's using it, so it means they're not confident. So it looks like everyone's lying in wait here. So when WPA3 is actually accepted and we see it on all our routers, finally we can say, possibly, that our Wi-Fi routers will not get hacked. Can Chromebook be hacked? Oh my gosh. Chromebook is being tracked by Google. You don't want that. Hold on, why don't you go to Joe Rogan? He hasn't invited me. Your internet provider will not update your router firmware. You have to do it. Yes. It's using Ethernet for mobile devices. Extreme. How do you do it? Wired? You're going to plug it into USB-C? Depends on your threat. I don't need to worry about that. Do you think for browser, Android is vulnerable to cross-site scripting attack? Cross-site scripting is a per website issue. It's not cross-site scripting is not an issue for you personally. It's by website. So if a website can be cross-site scripted, then they can fake you. So it's not about you. It's about the website. So let's say you go to Google.com. Can they be cross-site scripted? Well, hopefully not. They've done the work to make sure they can't do that to you. But a small website somewhere probably can. So many small websites can be cross-site scripted. Laptop recommendations. I don't know what to tell you. I use my Linux laptop is Star Laptop, which is a nice, inexpensive Linux laptop. I'm currently broadcasting on my Windows laptop, which is what my video device is, and it's running on an HP Spectre X360. And then I have MacBook Pro and all that. I got tons of computers here. VPN works for government officials only. 556K subs. Uh, yeah, it's going down. It was. I was expecting I might even get to 100 in November, and it's kind of slowed down. So we'll see. So I was expecting. It was. I was basically getting 1,800 subscribers a day. So which is basically what 20,000 a month, a week. That's how many the last month I got, the last week I got what, 17,000 this last week. So yeah, so I'm gonna get close to 100,000 in November and probably 100,000 in December. So it's crazy. What version of Windows? Windows 10. Now, some of you will say, whoa, but your Windows 10 is getting, you're being spied on by Microsoft. Shut up. You just have to know what to do. What videos attract most subscribers in today's climate? I don't know. My Signal video was doing extremely well, and then the de-Google video is the top one right now. You subscribe today. Thank you, WJ Bears. Can you still get Zuck using a VPN with router? That's just part of the technique. I mean, you got to do everything. You got to do browser isolation, just like what I did with YouTube. I have browser isolation. I have a VPN. I have Pi-hole. I turned off Google activity controls. I have different identities for different purposes. You got to do all that. You can't stop at one thing. I have a de-Googled phone. So one of the things, and this is really important here to understand, that most tracking occurs on your phone. If you think that's not true, then you're in dreamland. This is where most of the tracking occurs. So here I have a phone that I have never logged into because there's no login, so there's no identity. I do not put my life on the phone. By the way, there was somebody that made a comment, and it's like it's sad. It really is. It makes me cry sometimes because sometimes I lose hope for the world. When somebody leaves a comment on my YouTube channel and says, "Oh, the typical Luddite comments. Oh, you're such a Luddite. You should go to cave and caveman, be a caveman and all this." But even seemingly normal people will say, the convenience, I don't want to give up the convenience of my phone, so I'm going to get, such and such, the new iPhone. And I'm like trying to think to myself, what exactly am I sacrificing with the Google phone? I'm not sacrificing much. Okay? Most apps run, 90% of the apps run on this. What am I really sacrificing, folks? What I'm sacrificing is this is a Pixel 3. Yes, it's not a Pixel 4 or Pixel 5. By the way, I ordered a Pixel 4, so I'll upgrade it to a Pixel 4. So, oh my gosh, I'm one model year behind. Oh my gosh, that's so shocking. One model year on the phone. Yes, I sell you Moto G7 phones, which are 2019 phones. Oh my gosh, they're a year old. Year old. I can't. I'm a Luddite. I'm a Luddite, guys. I'm a Luddite because my phone is a year old, and some of you have a couple of year old phones. Oh my gosh, we can't do this. It's like, guys, you gained a lot of privacy just by not having a brand new phone. The privacy gains. What is the fucking difference between this? By the way, I have my iPhone 10. Which I don't use anymore, but let's be serious. iPhone 10. Oh, your iPhone 10 is so fucking old. I'm looking at the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 12, and it's like, what is really different? Oh, the camera's better. Oh, gosh, the camera's better. That's a big deal. Oh, the CPU is twice as fast. What the zuck am I doing on the phone that requires me to pay that money and say twice as fast? What the zuck, guys? What are you doing? You're actually losing your privacy because you want to have the latest and greatest. Oh, this is the craziness of the world. I mean, I'm not even saying that you have to sacrifice much to use this. Yes, there are no Google apps on here. There are many substitutes. Yes, you can't have everything, but you know, most of the things I want. What do I do on my phone? I'll tell you what I like on it. I like Spotify. Oh, I got Spotify. I like Kindle. I do my Kindle. I'm a boater, so I have Navionics. I even have like DJI for my, camera. I got all those apps here. What else do I have here? I have New Pipe to watch YouTube. Let's see. What other interesting things? I got email. My boating app, Navionics, I said that. For a while there, Waze was running. Then Waze stopped running. Netflix will run. So I'm what the zuck, guys? What's the big sacrifice? There's, if 90% of what you can do can be done, and the rest you use a zucking computer. Zuck. Okay, so I shouldn't be saying that because guess one thing that I learned about YouTube. When you do a video, YouTube actually examines frame by frame, and then if I say certain words, they're gonna demonetize this again because even though I say that it's not a bad word, it's not a bad word, but it demonetizes frame by frame. It actually listens to everything I say, and then it will. After it gets processed, it's gonna demonetize it again. Who cares? Okay, we don't care about that. I'm not saying any bad words. So YouTube algorithm, don't screw up. Okay, it's not a bad word. It's not a bad word. Okay, so a name is a name. It's not a bad word. So anyway, if you understand what I'm saying here about people claiming I'm a Luddite, some of you probably are too young to even know what a Luddite is. But I'm not a caveman. I'm very happy with my tech. But I'm gonna give you a little tip, guys. Did you know that computers are very safe? Do not be like Starlight Karaoke, my friend. Starlight Karaoke here is very fond of his phones. He has tons of computers, but he's fond of his phones. We're going to change that, guys. Change it. Why don't you get fond of your computer? Buy the nicest zucking... No, I shouldn't have said that again. Buy the nicest laptop. Buy the nicest... these are ultralight laptops now that are convertible like tablets, like my HP over here. I don't care if you run Windows on it. I'll tell you how to set it up so it's okay. Run a laptop with nice screens, 4K and all that, with big screens, and you can watch Netflix and all that. And it's so safe compared to these things. Leave this to be, as minimal as you can get. Don't put your actual data on here and just use it for fun like I do. And, Spotify and all that's not a problem. But I'm not going to put my life on here. I'm not going to put, my nude photos in here. It's kind of crazy stuff. You put your nude photos in a phone and you say, oh, my phone has to be super secure because, somebody might steal my phone and they're going to see my nude photos. It's like, suck. If you put your nude photos on the phone, you're crazy as it is, okay? Oh, boy. I teach you stuff, but, common sense. Somebody says, oh, you got to have such a secure phone. It's got to be hardened and all that. It's like, no. I don't care if you steal this phone today, okay? Steal it. I don't care. I have tons of phones here. If you steal this, I'm going to be mad that my money is lost, but otherwise I'm not going to care about the data because there's no data on here. I'll just, change the password to my online accounts and move on with life. Okay to log into Google YouTube on the Google phone in browser. Yes, it is. You can log in. I've done that. I've logged into, because I'm on the road and I need to look at my channel. I log into Google on YouTube with the Google phone and a browser. And you can do browser isolation also on a phone. You can dedicate a browser for it. Is use Google Voice. I use Google Voice. I use Google Voice. Okay, how do I use Google Voice? I'm giving a lot of data here. How do I use Google Voice? Now I do have a 2FA video, two-factor authentication video, where I use Google Voice without authenticating a phone number. But actually I've changed that now, so because I wanted to use it more. So my Google Voice, if you watch my video, I authenticated with a phone number, and then I threw away the SIM card, so the phone number no longer exists. And then I went to Google Voice and deleted the phone number. And then I activated Google Voice on my iPhone, which does not have a SIM card. So I have a dedicated Google Voice phone that has no connection with SIM card. Thank you, Jade Finch Scene. Thank you so much. I have many devices on the personal router, phone, tablet. Where to start? New router, VPN, factory reset devices, in what order? It doesn't matter what the order is. Just think about your identity first. Identity first. And then back into everything else. So back to what I was saying about, what was I saying? Kind of forgot what I was talking about. Somebody remind me what I was talking about. What was I talking about before I responded to the comment in green? Before no identity, phone number. Okay, the Google Voice. I was talking about Google Voice. So I decided that I actually wanted to make my Google Voice my primary number. So if you call me on my primary number, because it's published in certain places, understand that I don't actually answer the phone. I never answer the phone. So please don't call me. I will not answer the phone. The line goes to Google Voice, and then I can read the Google Voice, but I'm not going to call you back on Google Voice. However, it gets forwarded to my phone, so I do have it forwarded in an emergency. I'm not going to answer it though. So you're saying, well, Google knows my identity because it forwards to a new phone number on this. But what I did is I used Ting.com, and I have a please use a referral code if you're going to use Ting. Because of the casual use I put the phone through, which is just to accept calls in that very limited way, my Ting expense is $10. So I put a SIM card, cost me $10 a month, and I just get occasional calls on it that, most of the time I don't answer anything. And I change my SIM card every month. Yes, this is live for Gentius Rosales. So I change my SIM card every month. It's very simple. So I have a new phone number. I forward Google Voice to it. Doesn't matter if they know, because next month the number is meaningless. There's no actual long-term identity to it. So I don't really care if they know it, because nobody knows it. I certainly haven't published it anywhere. It's not connected to anything. So that's what I do. That's my method. And Google Voice is my primary phone number. Now, I could call you on the phone if I wanted to, because the phone number is only one shot. So it doesn't matter that I call you, because if you call me back next month, that phone number will not exist anymore. But it's I don't even do that. I really don't call. Please do not call me. Try to avoid emailing me, But if you want to use XMPP, I publish my XMPP server. So I'm Rob Braxman at xmpp.brax.live. So I have my own server for XMPP. So you can talk there too, as well as on BraxMe. But if you want to buy something, you need to go to BraxMe, because that's where the store is. The referral code is in BraxMe. Sorry, next time I'll post it on maybe after the broadcast. I'll post it on YouTube. So that means your friendship family are always getting a new number from you every month. No, I have a separate phone for family. So I have two phones. My normal phone that only family and friends use, people I know. The people I do not know do not use that. They only know Google Voice. Okay, so that's what I do. You split up your life. Everyone else uses the normal phone number, and everyone else uses Google Voice. Okay, so that's my scheme. How do you feel about using Tor on Android? I don't know what happened to Orbot. Orbot was the official Tor on F-Droid, and it disappeared. Maybe somebody can tell me why Orbot disappeared. I can't use Orbot anymore on Android, and that's official Tor. It's good. Now, in the absence of that, you can use Bytes VPN. Bytes VPN does have Tor included in the service. So if you want to use Tor on Bytes VPN on your phone, all you have to do is load the profile for Tor, and it will give you a Tor connection or VPN, whatever you want, on your phone. So Bytes VPN is, as I mentioned earlier, Bytes VPN is pretty neat because aside from the fact that we serve Europe, America, India, Australia, those main areas, aside from all that, Bytes VPN has Pi-hole, so it automatically does. You don't have to set up a Pi-hole server. The ad blocking is done at the DNS level, which stops those trackers. And on top of that, you get Tor. So, and besides, we're not a well-known VPN. It's a small company, just me. I don't even promote it. I don't go to Tom Sparks VPN reviewer and say, please review the VPN. I don't really care how many people go on Bytes VPN. We have sufficient. I don't need thousands and thousands and thousands of people coming into Bytes VPN. I actually want it to be very, very small. And the one rule is that on Bytes VPN, the one rule is we don't want anybody who uses BitTorrent. If you use BitTorrent, go to PIA or NordVPN. Don't come to my server. So because it's such a clean-cut group, we have no spammers. We have none of that. We're such a clean-cut group. So the people on Bytes VPN are filtered. They're all good people. Bad as some SS7 attack, and they can spoof your number. Do you have Tor server in your house? No. You can run my Tor router, and you can connect directly to Tor without anything else. You can buy my Brax router, set it to be a Tor router. It will route to Tor. So I have that capability as well. What are your thoughts on mobile banking? Well, you don't have a choice. You got to do mobile banking, so do it. Should people have a phone? Well, we don't have a choice. You can have a phone, just don't rely on it. Don't put your life on it. Don't think you got to have the latest and greatest. Get the latest and greatest that you can use Lineage OS on, and that's all you have to worry about. Lineage OS. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to use every single ROM. Lineage OS is fine. That's what I use. Nothing fancy. I don't care if you hack me. You can't hack me anyway. There's no data in here. So somebody says, oh, you need graphene, calyx, this. It's like, no, you don't. Okay? Philosophically, do not put your sucking nude pictures in here. Then you don't need that. You don't need it. You have to have a philosophical change of approach, and then you don't have to worry about it. Won't Tor make you a target? It can make you a target. That's why you don't want to make anyone know that you're using it. And if you're using my VPN on Tor, they don't know who's using it. That's one of the neat things about it, because it doesn't point to your machine. It points to my machine. Okay? If you're using my Bytes VPN with Tor, let's say on my Bytes VPN, you can use the VPN, you can use Tor. Let's say you use the Tor one. The entry node is my server, so they're not going to see anything. So if they say, well, who's doing this? It's going to go to my server, and my server is not going to have anything. So it's going to be a dead end. So if you, it actually makes it, it's like another layer. It's like a relay. So my server is a relay to Tor. So because it's a relay, it's like another level of separation between you and Tor. And that's part of my VPN service. It's VPN safe, cheap. So VPN safe, cheap, where do I go? My bytesvpn.com is my product. Go to Braxme, you can buy it there. bytesvpn.com. Just come to my account and come to my site, brax.me, and you can talk to us and you can get the store. You can buy VPN from there, buy routers, phones. Is bandwidth capped on Bytes VPN? No. I don't want that guy who uses too much. No, there's no cap. The limitation is you can have 6 simultaneous devices, which is pretty good. If you're using a Brax router, there's no limit. The one Brax router equals one device. Is the Tor ecosystem healthy right now? Are there enough nodes active? It hasn't really changed. Tor has been stable. I believe there are 6,000 nodes. I wish there were more. There's another platform called I2P, and it's just not getting there. So I actually have I2P loaded in this computer, but it's hard to find uses for it. So 6,000 servers, but there's billions of us trying to use it. Are you from the Navy? I have a yacht, and I have a rank. My rank is Commodore. So that's, if you're talking about this, I'm Staff Commodore. So, which is from yacht clubs, not the Navy. So it's a civilian organization, but I still get saluted. So yes, if I'm in a formal event, I get saluted in a yachting context. So I'll be back. Oh, Lavelle Logan, how are you doing? VPN slower. Your VPN slower, not mine. You have a yacht. Awesome. Okay. Motorboat or I'm a sailor. I have a sailor. I have a channel that I'm going to dedicate to my boat. It's on the description. Rob the Half-Baked Prepper, which is my sailboat. I salute you. I salute you too, Ranger Don. Have a dream to work on a yacht, then own. Buy a cheap yacht. When I was young, I bought a boat for $1,200, and of course, it takes much more money to run it. So, $1,200 didn't do much. But so now I have a slightly bigger boat. Do I play video games? Not good at them. So I have a few games, but I'm not. I don't really have time to spend too much with games. Come sail with me if you drop by Hong Kong. That would be an adventure. To go sail that far. That would be an adventure. Too bad I don't have time for that. But boy, do I have a dinghy? I have a dinghy I have a sailboat and I have a dinghy as well. So I have a dinghy that I can put on the boat. So if I travel, I can use the dinghy to go to shore. Are you doing your Thanksgiving live cooking? I don't know. I'm not sure, Lavendi, especially now. How does one protect themselves from ultrasonic attacks? That's a hard one. You protect. If you feel like you're in an area that could be attacked, you should turn off your mic and not use anything. But the problem is, even if don't use like voice commands like Siri, all that, because they can hear ultrasonic in the background. So some of you are like using, hey Siri, what's you're doing this all the time, and then the ultrasonic sounds will reveal your location. So that's one of the things you do not want to do. But on top of that, somebody actually said, if you want to protect your home from ultrasonic sounds, you can block the ultrasonic sound by actually playing an ultrasonic pattern over it. And you can't hear it anyway, so you can kind of, disturb your dog and play some ultrasonic music, which you can play on your speaker. So if somebody can just record one and you can just keep playing it back and play it on your, on your speakers, and then you would actually block ultrasound if that is concerned for you. Okay. Clip Z Solar. Oh, I'm gay. Oh yeah. Okay. Sure. Whatever makes you happy. How do I protect myself from like those used against those diplomats in Cuba? See, we know well, first of all, you can detect sound. All you have to do is record it. Use a high-end microphone. Like these guys. These are what do you call this? Condenser mics. Like this is a very high-level condenser mic, very expensive. So this is a AKG. This is an AKG C3000. That's an expensive microphone, and I use it for the videos. And yeah, this can handle like the high frequencies, and it can really capture that and then record it, and then you can see if somebody's doing it to you. How a dedicated Raspberry Pi Zero sound have a dedicated Raspberry Pi Zero sound system. Should I just use a flip phone? No need. Have fun. Use the Google phone. Why would you need to sacrifice like that when you can have the best of both worlds? A little privacy here. The Google phone is pretty good. Not sure what the problem is. I've never logged into this phone. This phone has no identity, and I can run most apps that are not Google. Most. Are you giving away too much information about yourself? Am I giving too much information about myself? Which city do you sail in? I'm in Santa Monica Bay. Los Angeles, Santa Monica Bay. Southern Hemisphere. What is your personal preferred balance between security and latency while gaming? I would not use a VPN while gaming. So, to be honest with you, the reason there's no data that's being stolen from you. So I don't need to do that while gaming. Although some of you report getting attacked because you do bad things on there, and then somebody tries to DDoS you on gaming. For normal use, I wouldn't worry about that. Is it okay to use the Google phone on Verizon? You can use the Google phone on any carrier that it runs on. Oh, never mind that link speed. Long Beach in the house, Santa Monica Bay, South Bay, huge bay. Yeah, Santa Monica Bay is a little tough because the waves are big. Santa Monica Bay, it's funny, for like a, supposedly a bay, it's not protected at all. So we get the swells all the way from sucking China. So we get big waves. Sometimes there's no wind and the waves are huge. So if you need like wave training, you go to Santa Monica Bay. So Santa Monica Bay is like, there's no protection from the waves. There's really nothing in between Santa Monica Bay and China. Nothing. There's open water. So yeah. So if there's any kind of storm in the Pacific somewhere, we're gonna get the waves. What happened to the breakwater? The breakwater is in the breakwater. I'm not sailing in the breakwater. That's inside. Has the South VPN server been set up, been changed yet? Not to require authentication? Yes. None of the servers require private key anymore. Yeah, they're all standard now. Andrew Schmidt. Hey, Braxy. Are Cricket's wireless servers safe? These website seems corrupted. I don't know. Chunk Rose, it's me. I'm back. Chunk Hose. Who's Chunk Hose? Santa Monica used to be the LA Harbor in the 1800s. No, there's a LA Harbor. LA Harbor is in Long Beach. That's the San Pedro. That's the official LA Harbor. We are not in LA Harbor. There's actually, for a while here, there was no harbor. The harbors here were man-made later on. What's good email service to use? Your own. Is the hardware of a Google phone still identifiable? No, you can change the identity of the phone. No. If not, what is the point of privacy setting functions if there's a simple way to... No, there is not a simple way. No. The other thing is when you're running Android 10, it doesn't even let you see the IMEI or IMSI. Android 10 doesn't allow that anymore. So it's actually a pretty secure phone with just base Android 10 AOSP. It's the Android 10 version has really upped the security for things like that, device fingerprinting. So it's much better. So Santa Monica Long Wharf. It was built by Southern Pacific Railroad. It's difficult to set up your own email server. Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. It's not easy. Do you ever go swimming or do you just hang out on the boat? No, I do not need... Well, our yacht club has a swimming pool. Otherwise, no. Have you ever worked with the computer guy, Eli the computer guy? I was just wondering if he subscribed to me. Probably not. It might be somebody else. Probably not. Because some of them, we subscribe to each other. But I can't recall, actually. Can I send you cash in the mail to buy a Google phone? Money order would be better than cash. I've been binge watching your videos. What has slowed down progress on the Pine phone? The problem is the people working on the Pine phone are volunteers. People, the Linux OS people, and there's still bugs. And because of that, the power management is still only up to 6 hours. Sean Coe's poverty is not socialism. To be rich is glorious. Don't understand that, but okay. Can I use one YubiKey for access to multiple systems? Yes. About smart TVs with voice activation is safe. Smart TVs, no, it's not safe, especially with voice activation. But smart TVs, no, it's even worse. If they have voice activation, they can ducking send you the ultrasound. Wow, that's really bad. Voice activated TV, very bad. Wow. Yeah, think about it. Ultrasonic. So you watch a TV show and the ultrasound will pick it up and send it to Samsung or whoever. AKG nice mic. Yeah. For musicians, we know that. So there's the AKG. I have the thin one too that I use for music. So I got like a box full of AKG microphones. What is your favorite Linux distro? I don't really, I'm not big on caring about Linux distros. The reason is because I use mostly Linux servers. So on Linux servers, I typically use Debian or Ubuntu. Whatever has the more standard it is, the better. Impossible to block Stingray unless you hide in Faraday. Sure, you can block Stingray. Take off the SIM card. SDP is VPN. I don't know what SDP is. What do you play? I'm a jazz musician. I play piano. I'm a jazz pianist. I do my music on Periscope. So occasionally I'll go on Periscope and do play piano. I have another channel that does music, but I really haven't updated it. Could you run your own Stingray with stronger signal? Yes, you can, but I don't believe it's legal to do so. Okay? So I can only run Stingray in a laboratory since I am a licensed ham operator. It has to be in a laboratory with, no RF. I cannot run an official Stingray officially. Okay? Do you still drink coffee heavily? Sure, I drink coffee. Although through equipping ourselves with powerful social rhetoric, we can save ourselves. Super cool. For VirtualBox, what settings should I set up for network adapter for a virtual machine? That is passed through. There should be a bridge to the network adapter. You don't set anything up. It's passed through. How did you discover boating? I've been boating since I was young. Well, let's see. I started boating when I was 20. So I bought my boat when I was 20. How did you discover? So let's see. What's the best way for a professional with a public face like a doctor to have pseudo anonymity as a YouTube creator? Is that even possible? You have to accept that if you're a professional, that if you do YouTube, then there's going to be a link. So do so with the understanding that someone could connect it to your real identity, and don't use your real identity, but use a more generic, like let's say it's about weight. Let's say you're a doctor dealing with weight loss, then the weight loss doctor, use some term like that. Avoid mentioning a name, and but it will be connected eventually by people who dig in. So you got to be careful. Okay. My XMPP is Rob Braxman at xmpp.brax.live. Okay. Rob Braxman at xmpp.brax.live. So my XMPP is on the about of my channel now. It's also noted on BraxMe, and it's my own server. So obviously, if you talk to me on my own server, it's going to be quite safe. I'm seeing how I can open up my server to others. At the moment, I haven't really, I'm still planning that out. So although you can sign up on my server right now, I may erase it and start fresh. So it's not permanent. Packet Radio AX25. Don't do that. No encryption. How do you experts get caught? How do the experts get caught or identify? Don't understand that question. But watch my video on doxing, so you understand a little bit about that. Now it's iKelp, not UKelp. Now it's iKelp. Please do a deep web browsing video. Well, I have a Tor video already. What is it that you want me to tell you about the deep web? I don't want you to go to the deep web. I don't go on the deep web. Okay? To be honest with you, I do not hang out on the deep web, dark web. I don't hang out there. So you go on the dark web and you go visit some hidden site, and they're selling you things like, let's say they're selling you weed, and you're in a state where weed is not legal. You're actually buying from the FBI. So it's crazy. Why would you go there? So don't do it. I don't do anything, you can't pin any illegal things on me because I don't do any illegal activity. So I'm just here to help you. I'm actually pretty ordinary citizen here. I don't do anything evil and all that. So I don't have to worry about what I'm hiding. I'm actually not hiding anything. I just don't like being tracked. It's like I get like heebie-jeebies if somebody's like looking at me and saying, well, I know what website you visited. You went to the boating website. Now you might say, well, who cares? I care. It bothers me. So even little things like that bothers me. Let's say I go to some of you will go to Fox News, some of you will go to CNN. Do you really want anyone to know that you're going to Fox News or to CNN? Hell no. Do you happen to know if there are any real-time voice changer for calls? I don't know if the voice changers will actually evade voice printing. So it's kind of if you don't know the technology, it might not work. Um, are you still zucked if your email is pwned? Uh, Change your password. It's really simple. If your email's pwned, then go change it. It's not a big deal. I had an advertiser tell me I had cancer when I didn't. Zuck. Uh, do you think it's worth trying to migrate from Gmail to something else? Gmail is fine for garbage things, junk mail, this, that. Uh, things that are so ordinary that it doesn't really matter. So I use Gmail for throwaway accounts like social media, just to get notifications and things like that. Well, they don't know who the Gmail belongs to anyway, and they don't know who the social media belongs to. So that combination is actually good. So Gmail is great for that. So don't discount Gmail. Gmail is useful for junk. I wouldn't put anything important on it. I would never use Gmail with my real name. That's not good. Gmail bad for business. Yes. Yes, Mike. Oh, no. Please, come on, Mike. Set up your own server. You're sophisticated enough. Come on. Set up your own email server. You want me to set up your own email server, Mike? I'll do it for you. What happened to Kelp? He's up there. Can you have your own telephony over voice over IP, say Google Suite? Why would you need that when you can have Jitsi, own server, XMPP, your own server, Nextcloud, your own server? I mean, there's many ways you can have your own server. You don't need to. All of these can do all that. You don't need to get that fancy. Can you imagine setting up a server on Linode, $5 a month, and you can run all that. Set up a Nextcloud, or if you don't want that, set up Jitsi, and it's on your own server. It'll be quite private. Instead of using Signal or anything else that you have to give a phone number, set up your own XMPP. Done, and anyone can contact you because it's XMPP. If you don't mind me saying, Rob, good to be back. I've been busy. iKelp farming has been busy. Why have you been busy, iKelp farming? Now I have to call you iKelp. Well, it's not cool, Mike L. It's a lot of work to set up, but you can create a Linode account, and then I can set up the server on it, and then leave it to you. Then you can run it from there. Email servers are very difficult to set up. Very, very difficult. So especially if you have multiple domains and all that, it is difficult to set up. It's very, very time consuming. So what are your thoughts on fully decentralized solutions? Do you think is the future? No, the problem is decentralized solutions require too much metadata. So I don't like that part of it. There are reasons to have decentralized solutions, but you can have a combination of it. Like XMPP can be run as XMPP is federated, so it's like not completely decentralized, but it's like decentralized, but you can centralize parts of it. Best OS for server, Linux, definitely Linux, hands down. This is me talking here after decades of using Windows on servers. Windows NT servers, Windows server, this, that. It's like, Windows servers are shitty to use on the server. They're slow. No, Linux. You can use LastPass. I used to use LastPass, but I don't use it anymore. Debian or Ubuntu? Well, I use both. I have some that are Debian and some are Ubuntu. Depends on what's more convenient. Why not OpenBSD? Why? What is a good alternative to YouTube? My videos are also on Odyssey.com. A guiding star beats a spirit in the sky. one of those password managers, I forget which, got hacked. That saying got hacked doesn't, it's not necessarily accurate. I don't actually know of somebody getting your passwords on there. That hasn't happened. Uh, there was one, I think it was LastPass, that had a phishing attack. Cubes is a problem for many because it's not compatible. The reason is it uses a hypervisor called Zen, and that's how it does the virtual machines. And Zen is tied to hardware, and if the hardware is not compatible, Zen doesn't work. And that's why Cubes is hard to use, because most devices don't work. So for that reason, it's hard for me to comment on Cubes, because very few people can actually run it. So, and you don't need to, if you're not Snowden, you don't need to be running that kind of environment. You can just take the simpler precautions I mentioned before. Could you erase a person from the internet? No. That's the problem. Since you cannot be erased, don't get to the point where you have to get erased. Where can I buy your Brax VPN router? Can't access your website. Of course you can access my website, brax.me. I mean, go to any browser, brax.me, sign in, and it won't ask you for email or anything. You can just make up your name, come in. It doesn't ask for anything. It doesn't ask for anything. Don't be afraid to go to Brax.me saying, oh my gosh, another app asking me for my email and so on. It doesn't ask you for anything. It just asks for whatever identity you want and then a password. Now, if you've been trying to get into it for signing up 50 accounts, it will stop you. And if you're saying you can't get in because it stops you because you've been doing things like that, wait 24 hours and then you'll be fine. No, Rob, you need a www redirect. I can help you with that. There's no need for a www redirect. The link that I used to give was rob.brax.me, and I don't give that because then people say, well, it's not HTTPS. It's just a zucking redirect. But people don't like an HTTP redirect. Well, that's what redirects are for. You can't get a certificate for something that's just a redirect because you don't stay there to do a redirect. It's just a redirect. People say, well, I'm not going to click on this because the browser says it's dangerous. It's just a redirect, but don't use it. Just go to Brax.me. If you're, I don't need all Colinape. Watch my video on Brave. Your opinion about Bitwarden, please. No opinion, you can use it. Most, I haven't found a dangerous password manager. I tend to use KeePass. Some people use Bitwarden. Some people use LastPass. Use whatever makes you happy. They're probably all good. Use one. I prefer to use the open source one. So I use KeePass, which is open source. LastPass is not open source. And it was bought by, what's the name of the company? That does remote control. So for that reason, I tend not to like LastPass because it went corporate. Okay, so Kali Linux is a hacker's platform. That has nothing to do with servers. What encryption are your Brax routers? What encryption are your Brax routers? Brax routers are just routers. They route through the VPN. VPNs use whatever encryption VPN uses, which nowadays is AES 256 GCM, I believe, is the today's flavor, but that can change. You can actually change every day if you want. Log me in, yes, log me in. Nano, Harry S. I use Nano. I don't, why make it complicated? I use Nano. Why not how do I stay safe for YouTube? Watch the first 30 minutes of this video. Okay, guys, we're out of time. We're out of time, and thank you for watching. Now, here's the problem. I haven't really come to a conclusion yet on this, but next week is election week, So the problem is if I make a video, there's a chance that all of you are going to be distracted and no one's going to watch my video on election week. So I can promise you this, we'll do the live stream on Friday. The question is, do I do another live stream in the middle after the election, or do I make a throwaway video? I don't want to. I don't want to do an important video on election week because it's not going to be watched. So I could do a lighter video or 2 live streams. I haven't decided yet. So, let's tentatively plan on Thursday, Friday next week having two kinds of things. Maybe I do a live stream 2 days in a row. Okay? So we'll do that next week. Again, because of the election, it might be an issue. For some of you ordering products from me, as you know, the post office might get overwhelmed. I don't know. So if they get overwhelmed, there may be a delay in shipping. And again, we don't know. So just making you aware of that in advance. Okay? So thank you. Thank you, Furnace Angel. Yeah, so thank you, my friends, and I'll see you sometime next week. Again, not certain how we're going to do this, but the following week we'll go back to the normal video and live stream. Thursday video, Friday live stream like normal, okay? So we'll do that. If you have any suggestions on, what I should do next week, come over to Braxme and tell me what your input is. Thanks a lot, guys. Okay, bye-bye.